It's going to be summer here.
Maybe someday. I don't know. We're in Southern California and it feels like winter in New York. That's what the temperature has been like. It really has been very frustrating. Hi, everybody. Welcome to
Good
Double
morning.
Defense.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Friday of a holiday weekend. Not
I
going to
know, I keep
complain about that.
forgetting.
Yeah. And it's May, and we have no teams in the playoffs. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Welcome to Double Defense. This is season 2, episode 2. We've done this for a full season. We are an all-female New York Rangers hockey podcast. I am your host, Liz. This is Christine, who is also
not
Emily Kaplan, which we will get into in a bit. We need something to keep us energized and enthused, despite the New York Rangers not currently being in the playoffs. If you haven't noticed, had you noticed?
Wait,
that we're not playing? Yeah.
Well,
I've definitely noticed over the last couple of weeks that we don't watch any Rangers games because they did not make it past round 1 of the playoffs.
And that's okay. You know, I mean, a lot of other teams didn't. Again, we still were not the Bruins.
That is true. Every time, and I have to admit, there's been part of me that I've been struggling to watch any of the games because I think I'm harboring a little bit of bitterness. I'm not going to lie. I think there's been some emotions, especially with us doing this podcast this year. I think that there's been some emotions there. But every time I get upset, I think we are not the Bruins. It could have sucked so much more.
It's been a fun and interesting year because I think we learned a lot. And again, kind of where we started with this perspective thing, the things I was paying attention to, we just saw things so differently. And I love that we saw it differently together, you know? So that's exciting. And getting to watch some of these other games, a lot of comparisons. I don't compare so much as other people do because everything's different. I did learn a few things in watching how some of these people play and taking in what some of these announcers got, what they're talking about, and that's been kind of fun. And getting a certain, I don't want to say appreciation for players because I don't like them, but understanding of their play and why it worked and how it worked. And
and I think there is part of me that also feels I have watched I've watched a little bit here and there. I don't know if the Rangers would have been able to beat I don't think with the way the Panthers have been playing, I have to give them credit. They have played some really awesome hockey. I don't think the Rangers could have beat them. Not with the current state of the union, the way that it was when we went into these playoffs.
I think the thing I learned with that was, I think, is it the Panthers they were talking about or North Carolina? They were talking about how, I think it's the Panthers, like where they're like they're like the Rangers in a way where everybody's shooting and everyone's kind of going and doing things. And that's, I think, where I just felt that's where we need to learn. We praised it the whole season. I know I have. And where we the whole team had the ability to do to shoot and to
the depth,
and to do everything.
The depth of the lineup.
They were talking about that, and it's working for the Panthers. And that's, I think, where the team needs to learn to grow and to take that ability, which is not a lot of teams have. Oilers, Jersey, like they're all focusing on one or two players. That it's a great advantage to have that level, of expertise like throughout the team and to utilize it. We just needed to kind of, we need to get up there and balance it out. And we can't say these guys are kids anymore. They've had 2 good seasons of learning. I think it's fine.
I think you're totally right. I think the Panthers, they sort of have that same kind of depth that the Rangers do, but they're gelling as a team. And maybe it's because they're now like sailing through on the playoffs, but I feel like they're gelling in a way that the Rangers didn't manage to get to. And that's part of the reason that they got knocked out so early.
Yeah. Look, we kind of look back, Panthers have a lot to fight for. When you come in as that scrappy wild card team, you play at a different level.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, I'm just here and I'm going to do it. And oh, look at things like tap. We had that last year going in and playing against.
Yes, we did. I agree.
And so, and look what we overcame. So again, every game is we've learned and we've seen it's anybody's game. So just like what we saw in how we played, we rocked the first 2 games. The third game was in overtime. Talking about overtime in this series has been like, my text from you is like, the Panthers. It's anybody's game when it gets into overtime, and that's the exciting part of it. And how does your mentality change after a loss? So we sit as these people sitting off the side and watching, and there's still hindsight talk about things. And so it's anybody's game. So, where we feel like we were dominated by one team, they were dominated just as much by another team. And what's funny is we always say we could easily beat North Carolina. So how did all that dynamic work? Who knows? That's playoffs. It's a beauty. What I was thinking of last night was watching the Vegas game. And I had this moment of like, when we were there at the game and we won by a lot. And everybody, I think it was a trigger that the announcer was like, they scored to tie it up, and they're like, and people were leaving. I'm like, the game's not even half over. Why are people leaving? And I thought like how the Vegas fans left with 12. There's still 12 minutes to go in the game, and that stadium became ours, right? And also the attitude of the fans that we ran into. They were all very respectful, nice, and they're like, "Yeah, we can't win at home. We can't do this." And I'm like, "But they're there. Like, look where they are at now." And I just had this crazy like thought moment last night watching the game about that. How and that wasn't too long ago, and how they were losing, to Boston. They were losing to us. They couldn't win at home. And now
playoffs are going to play off. I was thinking yesterday, if there's anyone who even remotely has a bracket that looks anything like how this is played out, we would love to hear from you. Because because in the NHL bracket thing, like you also picked how many games each round would go. I don't know if anyone had the Panthers going this far and sweeping. I mean, that was just so surprising. So I think you're 100% correct in that, playoff hockey is a different animal completely. I mean, here we are now. It is May 26th. And we are tripping on rats. That was my goal. Just
rats everywhere. I know.
Tripping on rats. Better than tripping on.
I wanted them to trip.
Better than tripping on trash, which is what the Dallas fans were doing. That was a little shocking. I mean, your team has made it pretty far. I get that you're frustrated, but throwing your garbage onto the ice, Dallas, not good form. Not good form.
I don't know. Does their GM threaten to, stop selling booze? We're not going to do anything.
Keep them in line.
It's been. So this round, let's go into this round. This round started with like 4 overtimes, So 6th longest game in NHL history. Less than 2 minutes away from going into a 5th overtime, which was insane. That I kept tweeting and messaging. The advantage of living in California is right now,
Exactly.
I was like, oh, we have an extra 3 hours. Then it got to be like 11. And I'm like, okay, I'm kind of tired now. So exciting game. The analysis was crazy on that too. I loved listening to it because it was Henrik. It just, I liked how they talked about how they, each intermission and what they're probably talking about and how they're hyping each other up and how they're coming and playing. And actually, I think both teams played very, very well because you can't get too aggressive. Then that's where mistakes are made. And they kind of played safe, but they played very defensive. And that's what kept it going and making it so exciting. Those that series, I know it kind of went the Panthers' way. It could have been anybody's game every game. That's what I love about it. Aside, and this series on the West Coast, with the exception of the one sweep, game the other day, which I didn't see, but they went into overtime. So I mean, every game's going into overtime. It's anybody's game. It's just kind of going this way. I kind of was watching for bad ref calls. North Carolina got screwed with a lot of calls. And last night, I think I was texting you that last call. I was right next to the TV. I didn't see that the ref called the high stick. Did the bench complain and it got called?
So I didn't factor in potential overtime into my dinner plan. So I did not see the end of that game. I did not see the call. I just got the text from you saying we're going one more game.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. It was a proper call because it was a high stick, but it was like, I didn't hear the call. The guy goes over and he's look at my face. It's bleeding. There was nothing there. And they're like, it should be 4 minutes. And I was like, I didn't even hear a whistle call, did they, that was just strange from my, I mean, they might have, and I just missed it, but regardless, both these last two games ended as a result of a power play and a goal being scored. Unfortunate for poor Carolina, who, I've got friends that were like, we still have faith. Oh, it's dashed. So, and they were swept. And so at least Dallas didn't get swept. There's one more game. I think, what did I text you? Now Vegas goes back to Vegas. They'll earn another $600 million, on merch and tickets. And I expect it to end there. Then we have a whole week. We have a whole week to wait, till these games start.
Yeah, so, I think I saw June 3rd.
It is June 3rd. And I'm like, oh my God.
She made it.
Oh, sorry.
Don't be sorry. Be happy. You came in, you made it.
I'm so sorry. I got excited and pulled out my earphones.
Just joining us is our other not Emily Kaplan's. Hi, Sarah.
Hello.
We'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah.
Ooh, are we starting the drinking early?
No, I signed a policy saying that doesn't happen during business hours, but yep.
It's a Friday. We won't tell.
Is it half day for you guys? Man.
No, because for you guys it probably is, but ours was last weekend.
Yeah, they just had their holiday. That's right.
I'll take another one.
I know.
Yeah. You're half
down
American,
here.
Basically.
Why are you coming down?
I know. I got to figure that out. I don't know if I've indicated this. I won't share too much because we're live streaming, but I started a new job. I'm wrapping up consulting to one group while still consulting on multiple other things. It's poor Liz has heard a lot.
Hashtag priorities.
Yeah.
Is it what I did say to Sarah the other day is thankfully none of our teams are in the playoffs right now. So this is a good time to be going through that transition period.
It's fun.
Because could you imagine?
Imagine? And like on top of that, I'm still trying to be like a mother somehow. I'm doing okay.
He can take care of himself. He's
self-sufficient, but
he's fine.
It's
I taught him how to make dinner. He's like,
we're not there yet. he can make us peanut butter sandwiches, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's been a lot, and thank you for your patience. And I think I'm probably out of here at 10 o'clock, but it's I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to see you guys. I want to contribute.
I know. That's one thing that's great is like, I know if you can't watch the games, I haven't been able to watch them all. I was out doing stuff this weekend.
I've refused to watch them all because I'm still bitter.
But that's what group text is for. And I know it's random. It's like, what the heck? Stupid ref.
I just noticed your name. That's amazing.
We should just read our text randomly, and go back and be like, what was that about?
Is it Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel where they used to read like their mean tweets or whatever? We should read our text.
I think we are the focus of Emily Kaplan's mean tweets. And just to clarify, we are very supportive of women in sports and sports media. That is the whole reason that we started this podcast. But Emily has made some interesting choices recently that we would like to discuss with her.
That quote's gonna reappear later in the year. I think it's a tablecloth.
Oh my God. I know. I said to
I
Steve
was
last night,
like, they don't even make shirts like that anymore. Where did she get that horrific thing? And
I
it's
was
ugly green. Like, she really does.
I
try
have
to
a
match
theory.
one of
I
her
have a theory
favorite-
that her colors actually are chosen very specifically to slightly indicate who she's rooting for. And what I've been upset about is that every time she's been doing any kind of interviews with the Rangers, she's always subtly wearing the other team's colors. So I don't know if that is, I am just picking that up, or because I think when she did the Golden Knights game, she was wearing like a black, like the black and gold, but it was like very subtle. She was doing
like
like
home,
green.
like the home team.
She was doing like a little green last night.
And it was ugly green. It didn't even match. Like, at least match.
It was just an interesting choice.
It was
Just an interesting choice.
There was a shade of green that should never exist.
It wasn't even the Dallas green. It was just.
No, I know. It was like, I don't
like mint.
look. I'm looking around like I might have something to compare it to, but I don't. So that was all a no. The whatever, like the tie, that my mom wore that. Like maybe my grandmother. I mean,
I wonder what kind of like guidelines are given to women in sports media by the networks of what they can and can't wear. I'm sure that there's some guidelines.
There's got to be, but did she throw them out? Because any women, any of the women I watch on hockey coverage, which is largely Canadian broadcast, but football coverage is certainly American coverage, and they are stunning. They look amazing. They all kind of have the same formula, and she's completely missing it.
Well, I do appreciate that she's differing from the norm. I really do appreciate that.
But not in like an aspiring way.
Yeah, not in like a grandmother way. So
But
Emily,
she can't be a grandmother. Like, she doesn't look like she could. Maybe
no, I don't think she's that old at all.
It's not
like she's not doing herself favors. Maybe she lives with her mother. Maybe that's what it is.
She's like an old spinster. Which that video, it was funny because I didn't hear the audio of the video because I happened to be somewhere else this weekend when the bartender came out and I was like, oh my God, that's Emily Kaplan. So that's what I said to you.
I love that.
She looked just like her, but whatever was funny is I didn't hear the audio. And so what you kind of hear is like the spinster, like whatever I don't even know what we were talking about. So that seems to line in too.
I legit thought you saw her and that was her second job.
Every time I tried to videotape her, she came right at my direction, and I tried to kind of capture it really quick. But every time she came over in my head,
when Christine and I are out, one of the things that we always do is we always find people who look just like either like New York Rangers. Now we're expanding clearly beyond just the New York Rangers organization, but we're always taking pictures of random people, like with them, like obviously like with their consent, but. Like what we've seen Igor, we've seen Zabinajad, we've seen a lot of
the Hughes brothers. We still have that. We have that picture from last time.
Brothers, that's right.
That picture, I still have it somewhere. It almost looks identical, like whatever that pose was. Even
we'll have to show
it was like identical to the picture. So
it's what's kept us busy because just a reminder, the Rangers and the Penguins are not in the playoffs.
No, Kyle Dubas, I think, from Toronto, as we already knew, someone told us this weeks ago, went to Pittsburgh. So I'm waiting for that Mike Sullivan announcement to go to New York. Like, it's crazy how this is happening.
So let's get into a little bit of Coach Watch 2023 because there have been a lot of rumors. Everything's been swirling around. Sullivan had been like sort of a pipe dream for a little bit.
I know.
But now I think it's come back. However, I think Sullivan's under contract. So
He's got one more year.
So they would both have to agree that he could leave.
Yep.
So if you're Pittsburgh, you know that if you agree to let Sullivan leave, he's going to the Rangers.
Yep.
Do you want that? Like as an organization, would you go, okay, Sullivan, take off and your division rival is now going to pick him up.
They already have Lemieux coming back in a way bigger role than he's been in the last couple of years. So that's for this fall. And then, but you have a new GM and assistant GM coming in, I think, both from Toronto. So do you not then kind of have some options to perhaps change your coaching scenario? I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's options, but would Pittsburgh, knowing that Sullivan would go to the Rangers, give up their guy to go to their division rival. I just don't feel like they would do that.
I
feel like Pittsburgh's going to go.
I don't feel that has any play in their decision making on that level. They're all.
I think it does. I think it definitely
it's
does.
all money, especially if they can find another coach that is going to be more profitable or less money or whatever they're working in the background. They're all business on that side, and they don't care who they go to or what they do. They're internally, at least they should. They should just be internally, figuring out how to create, because the cap doesn't go on them, it goes on the player. So they can manipulate and they want the best team to kind of get their team far. And it literally is all 100% business. And we've seen that in the past. They don't care who they go to. And that's not even a guarantee. That's just an assumption and that people are making. Because the latest thing is that Drury's just not happy with anybody. He's just not thrilled. Like no one's thrilling him. He's a diva.
There's a lot of rumor about Gallant coming to Calgary. And I saw Jerome McGinley has joined as a consultant to the Flames. And they announced Craig Conroy.
Well, enjoy Gallant. He'll take it to the playoffs the first year. He'll get fired the second year if he's going to follow the pattern that he has been following.
Even though the third year is his charm year, and
but he never gets there. Maybe it's funny. Like there has to be good chemistry across the board, and I think one of the things that Gallant didn't do is really understand that kid line and play them properly and use them to their advantage. So I'm wondering, if someone like Sullivan, maybe he is a better fit to be able to do that. And that would be super interesting to see, who could come in and help develop some younger players.
Yeah. I think Calgary, we have a good mix of younger players on that team. I think some more movement needs to happen there in the off season, but it'd be great to have someone who embraces that. We know Sutter didn't do that. So it'd be nice to see some adjustment there.
And Messier's name is still in the mix. I've seen him, Chris Knobloch. So there's some interesting potential
that would be my vote.
Ways to go.
Messier is not doing it. He said no.
And what about Toronto? No? Oh, Gretzky said no?
No, Chris Knobloch.
No, sorry, Knobloch.
No, Messier. No.
Oh, Messier said no?
Yeah.
I did not hear that.
Didn't he say it's too much responsibility? Or no, that was Henrik. It was one of them. They're all still involved, so let them be all cute. Although Mark needs new shoes.
They
shoes on yesterday.
They were just having fun yesterday. That was those like little interstitials that they do. They clearly haven't planned out any of that, and it just looks like they're having a great time. I greatly enjoy that.
I love that.
Yeah.
There's a balance too between the two sets of commentators, which I am enjoying because you got a Tool on one end, and then you got Messier owning him on the other side, which is fantastic. And even the rest of them, like I don't even know how they're allowed to do some of this. It's kind of unprofessional, but and I don't think it's that fun when he's trying to just promote his own stuff.
PK.
Yes. Or showboat stuff. So, going back to what that series like with the Rangers and the Devils, how Mark came out with that suit to kind of trump him, which he always manages to do so, which is great. And on the other side, the TNT side, you've got Bissonnette against Henrik and you got Gretzky in there too. So it's a nice balance and I think it tones Paul down a lot because he could be a bigger tool than PK, and I think these other guys have kind of balanced. I have to say, I've kind of enjoyed watching them and listening to their insight,
Yeah.
But it's mainly because of Henrik.
And I do want to commend whoever hired David Duchovny to do those voiceovers. All he's doing is basically saying, "It's game 4." Like that's it. But I am a huge David Duchovny fan. So whoever made that call. Kudos, because thank you. I like hearing him say that.
You have to see what I sent you. The kids on the chat sent this thing with Charles Barkley and how he was raving over Kachuk, but he kind of mispronounced Barkov's name, and so he gets all excited. But then they say the comments. You have to read the comments. They're like, you know, it's like 10 different ways that they hear Barkley pronouncing Barkov's name, and it's so funny. But he was there at that game. And the other thing, let me just go back to that too. Like, why were they like the Panthers announcer sings the like, I'm like, what was that about? You know, he's like, it's your Florida Panthers, rawr, you know, and so then he kept doing it. I'm like, that's none of that is cool.
Why? Because they're tripping on rats.
All right,
Well,
I
have
to
to be
jump.
like that. Like
Okay.
that.
Sarah, thank you for joining us. Hope the bracket is looking fine. I'm sure that it's not. We will regroup again next week with you.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you for joining us.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry it's so fast. I cannot wait to regroup properly. And yeah, we'll talk soon. Enjoy the rest of your episode. I'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye.
I was watching that and hoping that a few of those players would trip.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy for Kachuk. I'm all the way. I'm like, you know, some of these players need to come to our team. You know, I'm like, I like these guys. And even Dallas, Pavelski, you know, I don't mind him. I think it's great that, you know, and they keep harping on his age. You know, thank God, you know, not all our jobs yell out our ages and stuff.
Yeah.
And remind us
ages and weight. Those are two things that yeah, I'm grateful to be.
How about
on
that
side
announcer last night?
The
guy really did say this. The announcer's like, so I'm getting the feeling that the next goal that happens will either extend this, you know, match one game or one, or, you know, or one team's packing. And I was like, what?
It's good insight.
I was about ready to text. My prediction is that the next goal will win. But then they scored and it was over. I didn't have time to do that. Oh, well.
That's amazing.
So and this is where I'm paying too much attention at times. So I'm like, I don't want to pay that much attention where I'm hearing like just useless commentary from the play-by-play.
Yeah.
Captain.
I'm half the time I'm not even listening to the play-by-play. I'm just kind of watching it. I do like chasing the dog around every time somebody says Barkov, though. I think it's so funny. Just yell at the dog. Barkov.
Bark.
Well, I think you know, it'll be an interesting finals. You know, for all intents and purposes, and in all likelihood, it will be Panthers versus Vegas.
Vegas with home ice. So
yeah, and good for Vegas. You know, really good for Vegas. Maybe Gallant did some good stuff there, laying the groundwork for them to take it as far as they are this year. It would be fascinating to see if the Panthers could pull off just a major upset and win the cup after just barely sneaking into the playoffs. Having, you know, talk about a Cinderella run. Like, this has been absolutely incredible for them.
There's a lot of comparison to the 2012 Kings that's happening. There is a difference I have to add in there is that, you know, the Kings came into as a wild card, but the Kings overcame, I think they were down 3-0, and they overcame that challenge. So that didn't happen with the Panthers. So I think that alone, I would not compare them because there's other wild cards that make it up there. What I am excited about, with the exception of 2 players, what I am excited about is that with this matchup, this potential matchup of Vegas and the Panthers, we are looking at 2 teams who have never won the Stanley Cup. And that's exciting. I think I earlier had set up in our story, like each team was listed out of the 4 that remain, like the players on the team who have won Stanley Cup. So it's not a lot. So I like it where one of these teams is going to win. A lot of people haven't won before. The teams have never won. So that's what I like to see. And that's what's going to make it a really good game. You know, I mean, because you can see the fight in these guys now for not just like what they wait for their whole lives, but, you know, representing this whole team and the organization. Because now they're at that class. Now it's going to be reality. And now we're going to have one team who's never won win their very first Stanley Cup. And I get excited about that kind of stuff. So that I'm definitely looking for. And then the other talk too is that they touched the Prince of Wales Cup.
I saw that, and they did not seem to care in the slightest about the superstition.
So that's been something I've seen. And who was saying that? Um, you know, where we've kind of grown up watching hockey and all the superstition and stuff, that apparently seems to be going out the window. So now they're throwing out these superstitions. Let's see what happens. One of the comment, I forget who it was that said it, but they were like, yeah, I've seen plenty of people who haven't won the cup touch the cup. So it's kind of, in a way, I didn't like that, because that's kind of like one of the things that I've always, from a kid, just appreciated about hockey. And it's almost a traditional superstitious thing. It's a great interview question to be asking some of these players that we look forward to kind of getting into contact with, to really see, not just for them, but for others around them, how that kind of superstitious kind of trend has grown or changed for people. Maybe it's these young kids. They just don't care. They want to prove everybody wrong. Let's see how that works. So, and then let's see what happens, what they play tomorrow. Let's see if they win, if Vegas wins, if they do the same thing.
Yeah.
Or now like that's what I kind of like to see. So, yep. And then we have a whole week, which, there was a break in between these games too. And, I don't like that either, because I started to feel like I forgot about what's going on. I forgot who's playing. You start getting in your other daily life and stuff. So this whole week is not going to be good.
Do you think it's better for a team to sweep and have more time off and go into the finals well rested, or, because we've been having this debate here, or play more consistently? Maybe you play a couple of extra games, but you've been playing the whole time, and now you're facing a team that hasn't played in a week. What do you think?
I think it's not, I don't like the gap. I think those guys that are coming off of, of a run with a win have that momentum, and it's fresh, and they've got that fire and that momentum that kind of keeps them going and gives them a better edge.
Interesting. Because I would think that maybe it's better to be a little well rested going into it. Have a couple of more days to recover. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. This has been a weird and unpredictable playoff.
One of the interesting things in listening to Gretzky kind of, talk about things is he's like, and this kind of helps make my decision to push it that way, is that, these guys are all in this Stanley Cup mode, this playoff mode. And basically what he was saying is like, you do whatever it takes. I think he played with a broken rib at one point. And so he's like, you play through the pain, you play through this, you do whatever it takes to get you there. So, think about it. When we have a lazy day and we sit there and we don't do anything, everything kind of drops 10 levels. So, these guys are playing sore and bruised and injured, but they've learned their whole lives how to push through it. And I think with the way they think, again, another question to validate is that that again helps get them motivated, just to kind of get through and get to that next game, that next period, and end it to get to the cup.
It's what makes hockey great. It's the opposite of every other sport, where like in basketball, if somebody like touches you on the shoulder, you're out for like 4 games. It's like these guys are literally
Barkley. He's like, oh my God, if that would have happened in basketball, we would tire, we'd be done. Like there's no coming back and playing. We'd be like,
and these guys, they're playing their broken ribs, broken hips. I mean, all kinds of stuff. It's such a testament to this game.
Yeah, and exactly. And we're seeing that, and also what we're seeing in this series too, it's very physical. So many block shots, the guys get dinged on. One guy didn't come back last night. And so a lot of people kind of down and out. And that's what it's all about. And they're playing through silently, because again, you don't want the other team to know. And we've heard about that over the years. So that, again, that's another aspect of this sport that I appreciate and when you learn through the experience of Henrik as a goalie and Gretzky, as a forward, like how their experiences were, and bringing to light that mentality, and all their expertise. I've enjoyed listening to it, and it's giving me new, like even just more of appreciation for each of these people and how they're playing. And it's, and we notice that, and again, we're a team that's like that. I think the Panthers are like that. You got to get out there and just kind kind of put your body and everything. Some of these teams with the pretty boys, they're not the ones blocking. They have people to do for them. So
yeah,
that's another advantage we have. If we get out there and get more gritty, again, you know, I think that the East Coast has a disadvantage over the West Coast. West Coast plays so physical. So, but the Panthers, on the other hand, have kind of upped that physicality since game 1 against Boston. They had to. So that's where this is going to be a good matchup.
And that is something I'd love to see the Rangers work on for next year. I would love to see them play more.
I want
of a physical game.
The East Coast should do that. But wait, I don't want them all. Just our team. If our team comes out there and starts checking like they were the freaking Kings, we dominate.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, on that note, thanks everybody for joining us today. We have a lot to look forward to, a lot more hockey to talk about. We will be back again next week.
There's summer things. Yes, we'll be back. Have a great long holiday weekend. Happy Memorial Day to those in the U.S. Happy weekend to everybody else. Enjoy it all. You know, and we'll
enjoy some good weather.
Where?
Yeah. I think this. Oh no, the sun went away. It was out for a minute.
It's on that corner, right?
Like,
dang it.
They're taking it all. All right. All right, everyone. Bye.
Have a great day.